Over the past couple of decades, Shark Week has become quite the phenomenon. In fact, there probably aren't many people who've never heard or seen Shark Week. Shark Week has truly captured the audience's attention, and it's garnered so many people's interest. In fact, there are many celebrities who try each year to host it because of how popular it is and how much it's truly grasped the public's interest. However, Shark Week has not always been like this, in the state that it was. In fact, it used to be quite the opposite. You see, the Shark Week we have currently is mainly focused towards those dramatized attacks. Sharks breaching out of the water, attacking humans, being bloodthirsty, all of that stuff. Because that's ultimately what they found out to get the most amount of clicks and the most amount of views. However, at the very beginning, Shark Week's purpose was more educational instead of entertainment. There were still entertainment properties within Shark Week. However, it was more focused towards education because this was during the aftermath of Jaws. And everyone was hunting sharks because they believed it was exactly like the one in Jaws, where it would hunt out humans, that they were vengeful creatures, and that they were just bloodthirsty monsters. However, I believe you and I know that's not the case, but the audience is watching that movie in like the 80s, they truly did believe that. So there is a lot of shark hunting and a lot of misconceptions around sharks. And Shark Week focused a lot on education to try and educate the public that these are just misconceptions, and sharks aren't truly like that. They're not going to attack humans on sight. They're not just gonna. They're not these bloodthirsty creatures we believe them to be. Now, even though that was the main thing that SeaWorld was doing at that time, very educational, it's sadly not the case now. Like I mentioned, you have dramatized retellings of shark attacks constantly. It's to the point where they're almost painting sharks as the same one in Jaws. I've gathered two different sources in my description that both back this claim that Shark Week has become too entertainment centric and not enough education. It's starting to become the very thing it kind of swore to destroy. Um, you know, things that make us perceive sharks in a negative light. And what's fascinating is one of the sources it seems very biased in terms of showing Shark Week in a good light. However, even though it's very biased, it still lists how Shark Week isn't really helping sharks, nor the perception of sharks. In fact, it's doing quite the opposite. And it points out that if this continues, they're going to create an even larger problem than the one they're creating right now. But both of these sources point out what the big downfall in Shark Week's influence and really just hopes to educate the public. The first account of this being the Megalodon documentary that they swore to be real, which was not. It was all actors, all CGI, all of that stuff. But they swore that this was real, that this was found footage, and that the Megalodon was truly out there. I believe this happened in 2010, and after that, they made a lot of money. And they decided to make another one the next year about mermaids. With the same thing, where this is found footage, marine biologists, all of that stuff, when it was really just actors and CGI. Ever since then, Shark Week has kind of taken more of the approach of more dramatized retellings and things that aren't entirely true. Because they know it would make them money. And they're not wrong. They've been making a lot of money with viewers, commercials, merchandise, all of that. But unfortunately, the cost is that they're not only the thing that they swore to destroy, but they're hurting the perception of sharks. They're kind of threw away their morals and um, their intentions for money, and they've ultimately become the very thing they swore to destroy, which is incredibly sad, because that's the last thing that sharks need right now, is a former ally turned to a foe when it comes to the perceptions of sharks. I can only hope that this will soon change. However, it's not incredibly likely to change. But if we can get the public more aware that this is happening to sharks, and that Shark Week is not all that it says it to be, I think that'll be very impactful. But overall, Shark Week had started off with the right intentions, and unfortunately, they spiraled to become the very thing that they swore to destroy, which is very unfortunate.